flooded? Well, it still is. These live pictures coming to us from WSVN in South Florida. Listen.
Pushing the water west. Yeah, you see right there in front of Colonnade Plaza, you can see that's what the storm surge does. It's like a river. And so we're like 3 blocks west of the bay. And so the water over here, the water was up to the top of these steps, and now it is we've got like 2 or 3 steps showing at the top. So I'm hoping that that's a good sign that things are receding out here. But it's been interesting because people should really stay inside. I mean, you don't want to be in this water. It's seawater. It's murky. You can't tell where the road and the curbs and the sidewalks begin and end, and there's no telling what's under the water. But a lot of people have been coming out, and there were actually Miami police out here a while ago urging them to stay inside. I actually saw, this was interesting, about a half an hour ago, I saw a big expedition roll through here, not realizing how deep it was, and they actually got stuck for a second, and the muffler was bubbling. And so I walked over as close as I could get, and I noticed inside the expedition, the people inside were wearing bike helmets. The people inside were wearing, and apparently there are these amateur storm chasers who have come to town who are trying to get as close to the damage as they could. But it was such a strange sight because they were in like this rental white expedition and they had on these bike helmets inside. Needless to say, they didn't make it through the water. They got stuck for a second and then they were finally able to turn around and get out of flooded Brickell Avenue.
There you go. That's the latest from Brickell in Miami. Let's take a live look down in Naples where the wind gusts are still just howling. We just got a new report from the Naples airport, confirmed by the National Weather Service, 142-mile-an-hour gust. And go to the WTVT picture that's coming to us out of Tampa. In Tampa, the bay, just a second, anchors, of course. My timing's impeccable. Just a second ago, they were showing Clearwater Beach. And on Clearwater Beach, the water is off the beach, because the storm itself is pushing the winds out to sea, and largely there is no water, not at least up where there normally is, right along the seashore in Tampa Bay and Clearwater Beach. These are live pictures coming from Naples. This is Steve Harrigan's position. The winds have picked back up again after 142-mile-an-hour gust at the Naples airport. I'll say they've picked up. Just waiting for that eye to pass over there. We really think that parts of the eye are over parts of Naples now. If you look up there, you can see it seems to be brightening up just a little bit in that area. But this storm is still on the move. Officially from the National Hurricane Center, we're expecting yet another update from the National Hurricane Center at 5 o'clock Eastern time. So in about 17, 18 minutes from now, we'll get that update. 115-mile-an-hour winds. The direction is due north at 100 with 115-mile-an-hour maximum sustained winds, due north at 12 miles an hour. So Fort Myers, it'll be coming to you shortly, and then up into the Tampa-St. Pete area after the sun goes down this afternoon. You'll start feeling the effects of this storm shortly in Tampa-St. Pete, but not the full effects of it. For homes and businesses are now power in the state of Florida. 3 million. And in the main, according to the power authorities, based on people, not households, 1 in 5 people in the state of Florida right now has no power as the storm continues to turn north. Fox News Channel coverage continues right after this.
Do you think you can make it through my selection process?
My guess is if you and I go hand to hand, you can probably figure out inside of 20 seconds whether or not I have what it takes to...
What is it you think we do here?
We kill people who need to be killed.
I want rap on the team.
This Friday.
15 kilos of plutonium went missing.
Bad people do bad things.
15 kilos of plutonium went...
Bad people do bad things. It's our job to stop them.
Yes, sir.
Dylan O'Brien and Michael Keaton. American Assassin, rated R.
Hi, I'm Jesse. And I'm Ben. We started Hubble because contact lenses are too expensive. At Hubble, our fresh daily contacts are affordable and delivered straight to you. Get your first 2 weeks free at HubbleContacts.com.
I count on my Dell Small Business Advisor for tech advice. With one phone call, I get products that suit my needs and I get back to business.
When you have moderate to severe ulcerative colitis, the unpredictability of a flare may weigh on your mind. Thinking about what to avoid, where to go. That's how I thought it had to be. I talked to my doctor about Humira and learned Humira can help get and keep UC under control when certain medications haven't worked well enough.
Humira can lower your ability to fight infections, including tuberculosis. Serious, sometimes fatal infections and cancers, including lymphoma, have happened, as have blood, liver, and nervous system problems, serious allergic reactions, and new or worsening heart failure. Before treatment, get tested for TB. Tell your doctor if you've been to areas where certain fungal infections are common, and if you've had TB, hepatitis B, are prone to infections, or have flu-like symptoms or sores. Don't start Humira if you have an infection.
Raise your expectations and ask your gastroenterologist if Humira may be right for you. With Humira, control is possible.
Attention healthcare and defense companies that bill for service never provided. When companies cheat the government, they're stealing from you, the American taxpayer. If you think your employer is stealing from the government, call us at 800-888-1234. Whistleblowers may receive a large portion of the reward. ClassAction.com. Information, protection, justice.
Maria is an incredible mom. When it comes to helping her daughter, shopping for groceries, unclogging the sink, setting up dentist appointments, and planning birthday parties, nobody does it better. She's also in a rock band. Look at her shred. But when it comes to mortgages, she's less confident. Fortunately for Maria, there's Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. It's simple, so she can understand the details and be sure she's getting the right mortgage. Apply simply, understand fully, mortgage confidently.
Having my mom around to help with my daughter means the world to me, so I got her a smartphone.
Amanda, I'm out front.
It's the all-new Jitterbug Smart from Great Call. It's got one of the biggest...
And you'll be immediate. A highly trained agent who can confirm your location, assess the situation, and get you the help you need.
And right now, get 25% off at Best Buy, Rite Aid, or Sears.
Mattress Firm's Labor Day sale has been extended through Tuesday. All mattresses are still on sale. Get a Beauty Rest Firm Queen mattress for $299.99 or a Serta Queen Memory Foam mattress for just $399.99. Plus, get a free adjustable base with select purchases. And sleep interest-free for 6 years. We know you can't put a price on a good night's sleep, but if you could, we'd beat it by 10%. Now through Tuesday, only at Mattress Firm.
Fast approaching 12 minutes before the top of the hour, alive on Fox News Channel and our continuing coverage of Hurricane Irma as it makes its way north. It's made a second landfall in Marco Island, Florida.
We know you can't put a price on a good
At 115 miles an hour, wind continues in the northward direction, is now slamming into Naples, Florida, expected to move north and hit Fort Myers, Florida, shortly. Some crazy waves in northeast Miami-Dade that we've been watching along a marina from WSVN 7. They've had live reporters out there all day, and to think how many hours they've been through this is really difficult to measure. Listen to it.
West of the dock. And we're walking along that right now as carefully as possible because I want to just get you another vantage point. Man, and I'm looking at the rest of the common areas of this complex here, and it's just a shame.
Along a marina from WSVN
Just a shame. Tracy, why don't you pan off? Get a shot of that boat right there that's completely upside down, and then yeah, just right there. And then just pan, I guess, back the other way, if possible, so we can show the other side of the marina. Lynn and Jeff. Just about, I would say, conservatively, half the slips here, maybe more, probably more, were occupied by boats. And it's not just boats that are thrown up and destroyed. You've got other pieces of debris and chunks of the dock that have gets. You know, Belkey's raised that question last night. Could it be that one of these boats gets pushed up with a strong enough wave and a hard enough wind up onto the dock itself? And the answer is, I wouldn't put it past this situation here, guys.
So that's the scene there on Miami Beach. Let's get to Matt Finn, who's up the coast in St. Pete Beach. After you go through Fort Myers and Naples and then Fort Myers, St. Pete and Tampa are on the way. And deterioration, it looks like there, Matt.
Yeah, Shepard, gradually getting worse here. Consistent, very strong wind and rain. All these homes along this area, along St. Pete Beach, were under a mandatory evacuation, and there's really not a human in sight. Behind me, the Pink Hotel, the Don Cesar, is now officially closed. A lot of our colleagues have been reporting about how this the water out to the Gulf, and it was when we first got here today, the water was right about here, and now you could see how far out it is. And in fact, since we've been here in the past hour, it's dipped out probably even 10 or 15 feet more, because you could see the wet sand still. And as the water's getting sucked out, we see jellyfish and all types of shells and remnants and trash and debris. So that is definitely happening here along St. Pete Beach. This area was under a mandatory evacuation. If you're still here, it's too late. Police tell us they're not going to respond when the winds hit 40 miles an hour. And it seems like we're probably at that point right now, Shepard. Everything we've been reporting on and we've seen on your show in the past couple hours is on its way here to St. Pete Beach. Back to you.
Matt Finn, live at St. Pete Beach for us. Matt, we appreciate you. Thank you. I've just gotten this in from the Miami Herald. A massive airborne relief mission is en route to the Keys. A humanitarian crisis. Quoting now from the writing of the Miami Herald, a huge airborne relief mission is en route to the Keys to help the impacted area by devastation caused by the Hurricane Irma as it blasted the lower Keys. Monroe County Emergency Management Director called the destruction caused by Irma, which was a Category 4 at the time, a humanitarian crisis for the Keys. Among the services coming to the Keys are disaster mortuary teams, he said in a conference call. Help is on the way, said the emergency management director, calling it a humanitarian crisis. Joe Drew is a charter boat captain riding out the storm on a boat based in St. John's, I should say in Johns Pass, Florida, which isn't far from Tampa. How are you doing there?
We're doing pretty good.
Joe, how'd you make the decision and why?
I've been on the boat my entire life since I was a small child. I'm captain in the area. Chose to ride it out. I think the boat is very sturdy, stable. It's a big boat. It's a big catamaran. We have 2 generators on board. We have 3 anchors on board ready to drop in case we do leave the slip. But at this point, we're just hanging tight and hoping for the best.
What are conditions like there now, Joe?
It's raining pretty good. It's probably blowing 35, maybe 40 knots. Definitely starting to pick up pretty quick.
Have you ridden out a storm before?
I have. I've been in a few storms, but never experienced anything to this degree. This will be a first for me.
Any second thoughts at all?
I've been on here the last 2 nights. Definitely spent some time thinking, but I think when it's all said and done, I think it was the right decision, and I wouldn't want to walk away from the boat. On board, secure, and if this thing does spin around and start blowing out of the west, then our goal is to pull the boat out of the slip back in the intercoastal and get anchored up in the lee of the land and try to protect ourselves back in the intercoastal.
Joe Drew is a charter boat captain who's riding out the storm on a boat at Johns Pass in Florida. Who's there with you and what are they doing?
It's myself. I'm the captain of the boat. I also have another captain on board, Captain Jeff Ballard. And then we have a 3rd guy, Rich Sipple. And we're just working as a team. We all have a lot of experience on board. We're just standing by at this point.
Any second thoughts?
No second thoughts. Once the storm's said and done and it's all over with, like I said, we have 2 generators on board. We're going to bring the boat back to the dock. If there's a dock left, either way we'll be tying up. Dock left. either way, we'll be in the slip or at the end of the dock. We have 2 generators on board, so we'll still have power after the storm and start preparing for recovery from the storm.
Joe Drew, we wish you all the best as they ride out the storm there on the boat on the Florida's West Coast. Thanks a lot. We're continuing to watch these pictures coming to us out of Naples. The storm is continuing its northward trek at 12 miles an hour, 115 mile an hour maximum sustained winds. And in just about 5 minutes, we're going to get a brand new update from the National Hurricane Center down in Miami. And hopefully we'll have a much better idea about where this storm is going. So actually, they've sent out an advanced copy of this now, and I can now tell you, here is the brand new information from Hurricane Irma as of 5 minutes early for a 5 o'clock release. It's now a category. We'll have a much better idea about where this storm is going. Wind is not nearly as strong. Maximum sustained winds now 110 miles an hour. Central pressure is 938 millibars, so it keeps getting weaker. It's now moving, and we speculated about this earlier. It looked to us on the radar like the storm was moving faster than 12 miles an hour. It is. It's now moving due north, still due north at 14 miles an hour, and expected to pass through Naples in the next few minutes, and then on to Marco Island, and then on to Fort Myers. The next order of business is to get a live report from the National Hurricane Center down in Miami, and we'll be able to do that at the top of the hour with their chief forecaster down there with specifics about where this storm is going as it moves north. Quick commercial break, and we'll have that for you right after this.
You don't let anything keep you sidelined. That's why you drink Ensure with 9 grams of protein and 26 vitamins and minerals. Back to doing what you Sure, always be you.
There's a denture adhesive that holds strong until evening. Fixodent Plus adhesives. Just one application gives you superior hold, even at the end of the day. Fixodent. Strong, more like natural teeth.
Introducing Lean 13 from Nutrisystem. Lose up to 13 pounds in your first month, guaranteed.
Lose up to 13 pounds fast with the new Lean 13 from Nutrisystem.
Your 13 can turn into 20, 30, 50, even more. I'm Marie, and I lost 50 pounds on Nutrisystem. You'll see results right away. Count, measure, meetings? No, not with Nutrisystem.
Order your 28-day plan right now, and we'll rush you Lean 13. Get specially designed meals, plus 1 week of new Nutri-Crush bars to crush cravings free, and 1 week of Turbo Shakes to bust belly bloat free.
Bye-bye, stubborn belly fat.
Call or go online in the next 2 minutes, and we'll even throw in FedEx shipping free. Lose up to 13 pounds overall your first month.
Your first 13 pounds? Gone.
Go online or call 888-828-THIN right now and get new Lean 13 with bars and shakes free.
Occasional constipation can be a pretty tough customer. But Colace is the #1 doctor-recommended stool softener brand. It's been gently softening up hard cases for over 60 years. So next time you're up against occasional constipation, remember Colace and feel the difference a little softness can make.
Bending over to put on your socks is brutally painful every day. Well, not anymore. Introducing Sock Slider, the pain-free, no-bend-over way to comfortably put on your socks every day. Just place your sock on the cradle, lower the cradle to the floor. Just place your sock on the cradle to the floor and slide your foot in. It's that easy. Sock Slider puts the socks on for you, so bending over is something you never have to do. All your favorite socks can be put on without frustration. Plus, it can be taken apart for convenient travel and storage. Sock Slider is available online and at retailers near you.
When you schedule with Safe Light Auto Glass, you get time for more life. This family wanted to keep the game going.
Hey, Mom, one more game?
With Safe Light, you get a text when we're on our way. You can see exactly when we'll arrive.
Sure. Bring it.
I'm Michael with Safe Light.
Thanks for coming. Right over here.
Giving you a few more minutes for what matters most. Take care.
Bye. Safe Light Repair, Safe Light Replace.
Most complete joint health market today, combining 6 leading ingredients to make the best formula possible. Whether you're a weekend warrior or on your feet all day, why settle for less? Have the best with Synodron Complete Joint Health. Results guaranteed.
Buy one, get one free this week only at Walgreens.
It's 5 o'clock in Southwest Florida. Time for an update from the National Hurricane Center on the path of Hurricane Irma. The storm made a second landfall in Marco Island, Florida in the last hour. It's now northbound at 14 miles per hour, packing maximum sustained winds of 110 miles an hour. So it's getting weaker and it's speeding up just like they predicted. Here's Mark DeMaria, the director at the Hurricane Center.
This is Mark DeMaria. This is Maria with your 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time update on Irma from the National Hurricane Center. Latest update on Irma is that it made landfall near Marco Island at about 3:30 p.m. this afternoon, with maximum winds of about 115 miles per hour. As a major hurricane, Category 3. We have confirmation that from the Naples airport that we did have maximum sustained winds of 112 miles per hour. At the present time, max winds have come down a little bit. They're about 110 miles per hour. And the system now continues the acceleration to the north at about 14 miles per hour. At the present time, the center of the system is just north of the Naples area and is moving away from that region. We expect the system to continue up the coast of Florida in the next couple of days, crossing the Tampa area later tonight and into early tomorrow. We're forecasting this to maintain intensity through the Tampa area as most likely Category 1 hurricane. So they'll be anticipating hurricane force gusts, sustained winds of tropical storm force, possibly sustained of hurricane force. Also, storm surge up to 5 to 8 feet in that area. And again, very heavy rainfall with totals up to about 15 inches. What we've seen in terms of storm surge is that we were anticipating that values of 10 to 15 feet from the Captiva area down to Cape Sable. And what we've seen so far is at the Naples Pier, we saw an observation of the water level, and it rose about 4 feet in about a half hour. And at that point, we lost connection with the observation. So that anticipated rapid rise of the water is actually occurring now as we speak, as we look at the back to the radar. As we're getting that return flow pushing up in hours and into tomorrow. In the Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach area, we're gradually seeing the winds come down, but within the last hour, we're still seeing sustained winds of tropical storm force in the Miami-Dade County area. So the winds are going to be very slow to subside in this area. We do expect them to come down in the next couple of hours, but that hasn't happened yet. So you need to remain very cautious. It's not really the next couple of hours, but it hasn't happened yet. So you need to remain very cautious. It's not really time to go outside yet, and we're entering the nighttime hours. So there's a lot of debris, a lot of hazards. So the recommendation is to really stay where you are until you get the all clear. With that, this concludes the 5 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time briefing from the National Hurricane Center.
DeMaria live with us, and let's get straight to Steve Harris. 5 miles north, 30 miles south of Fort Myers, and headed toward Fort Myers. How you doing?
Shepard, we're doing fine here. It feels like the eye of the storm has just passed over Naples and now is just ending. It was remarkably still here, no breeze at all, no rain. Now a light drizzle is starting again. That could mean the eye has passed and we could see some more bands of storm. And if you can take a look, see some of the damage here from 130-mile-an-hour winds. You can see some downed trees there. It's branches, it's full trees that were snapped off so far in this windstorm. More downed trees here, and everywhere you look, really, you see major trees down. But what you don't see are when you look at the off. But as far as off the side or outer walls destroyed, we're not seeing that. The worrisome thing that we is a rise in floodwater. When that high area where we were, we've just been able to walk 1 block during this column eye of the storm. There's already a foot of water here where I'm standing, and it might go considerably deeper, judging by the street sign. So the concern now with the first band past, the first edge of that eye wall past, the eye is past. We're going to get more bad weather, but this could be the real concern at my feet here, the danger that they're warning about a possible surge of anywhere from 10 to 15 feet. Trees down, buildings from our vantage point largely intact, but the looming danger is going to be this floodwater. Shepard, back to you.
Steve, you at all?
Block away from the spot we were in. We're just actually carrying through this water. We've come around about a block to try and get a little vantage point at the damage. We could just see palm trees and branches down where we were, but when we're getting into a neighborhood here, we can see actual significant damage to trees. Trees actually snapped in half, and probably some power lines down in the distance as well. But startling amount of flooding as well. Probably 3 or 4 feet just in the distance with those down trees, judging by the street sign, Shepard.
I wonder what the back of the eye is going to be like there. Normally, when the eye passes over and then the back wall comes, it'll hit you like a hammer.
Right. It's starting to rain a little bit more now. It's coming back out of this rain. See what kind of a back end it has, Shepard.
All right, Steve Harrigan, get you guys to safety. Appreciate it. Our senior meteorologist, Janice Steen, is live in the Weather Center, so the eye going right over Naples.
That's absolutely it. And look at the wind gusts that we received. Category 4 wind gusts in the Naples area. 142 miles per hour. Marco Island, where we had our second landfall around 3:35 Eastern time. 130 miles per hour. Big Pine Key, 120 miles per hour. We're not done yet. Let's take a look at those landfalls. We had a Key West, or around the Key West area. That's Cujo Key at 9 a.m. this morning, around 105 at Marco Island, and another landfall later on this evening, overnight tonight. And let's zoom in, and I'll show you exactly where Steve Harrigan is. There's Marco Island. There's Naples. So he's going to start to see the backside of this storm move in, Shepard, in the next, I would say 15 to 20 minutes. So the backside of the storm. I also want to make mention that we're not getting in some of this radar reporting. So this is not filling in because the Keys are not reporting. This is the radar from Tampa. So you're not seeing the full scope of the radar and the potential for the backside of the storm to come in. This will give you an indication, though, of the backside moving in over the region that we just saw Steve Harrigan. In the next 20 to 25 minutes, he'll start to feel that. Still the potential for storm surge all up and down the West Coast, and the tornado risk. We have had a dozen reports of tornadoes on the east coast of Florida. This remains a high risk for these spin-ups as these outer bands scrape across land. And this is a very wide system, 220 mile from the center of the storm is the tropical storm force winds, and 80 miles from the center of the storm, still hurricane force winds. So the latest update from the National Hurricane winds at 110 miles per hour. That is a strong Category 2 storm. But again, I stress that this is a storm surge story for the west coast of Florida, all very low-lying areas. So a 5 to 10 to 15-foot storm surge is still going to put these areas at risk for a lot of water over the next several hours. So Shepard, still watching that. The storm surge will be the risk over the next 12 to 18 hours. The whole state of Florida still under hurricane warning, 18 million people, and that stretches into Georgia as well. Back to you.
We've just gotten in about 38 minutes in Naples and still rising.
Yep. Absolutely. And this is going to be a really, that is the National Hurricane Center has been telling us forecasters, if there is the #1 story that you have to get out there, it is the storm surge risk. The winds, of course, are going to be excessive. They're going to cause damage. The tornadoes are going to cause a high risk, especially across the East Coast. But it's the storm surge. It's that water level rise. I've seen a lot of reports on Twitter because the winds have been pushing the water out, right? And people have saying, oh my gosh, the water has been pushed out of the bay. But the problem is the water is going to come back with a vengeance. And some people say it's almost like a slow moving tsunami with all of this water being pushed back into the bay from these counterclockwise winds.
It has been quite a thing to watch. Janice Steen in the Weather Center. This is not over.
Nope.
If you're in the Fort Myers, Lee County area, or north of Acres up toward, there's more coming. Fox 13 in Tampa will tell you The storm is still headed in that direction. They've got live pictures and a live shot up from Fox 13. It was quite, excuse me, oh my goodness, quite a thing to see. And this is Steve Harrigan's camera right there in Naples. We know that we're kind of in the eye, or had been, on the backside of this storm. We've been watching the radar. There's a lot of rain, some heavy wind, and some serious storm surge that's on the way. You can see palm fronds are down. That's pretty normal. We'll be interested to know how bad the damage is, especially down in Marco Island and then in Naples, through which it is now passing. And then as it moves forward up to Fort Myers. From the current track, it looks like the eye of the storm may actually pass to the east of Fort Myers. So the storm will, the land curves up and to the west and juts out more into the water. And if the storm continues in a direct north movement, then we believe that the storm is going to move to the east of Fort Myers, which for Fort Myers would be very good news because you're on the drier side of the storm. The storm surge would happen in an opposite direction, at least for a short period of time. But that's not to say anyone is out of the woods yet. Continue to heed the advice of local managers. Stay inside, stay off the roads, do not go outside. This is their warning. This isn't me. This is from the emergency managers. They've asked us to remind all of our viewers in Florida, stay inside, do not go out during the eye of a storm, because the backside of that storm can really, really get you. 11 minutes past 5 o'clock on the southwest Florida coast, and the rains are pounding. It just depends on where you are. Jesse Lefkow is riding out the storm in Naples. Is the eye over you now, Jesse, or is it still howling?
Of the eye, as I'm saying that, the trees look like they're starting to stand back up a little bit straighter, but it's been pretty scary here for a while.
I'm guessing you're on the north side of Naples.
We are. We're in North Naples. Yep, about as far North Naples as you can get.
Well, that makes perfect sense because the eye of the storm has already left Naples proper, and you're probably 6-7 miles north of there, I guess, huh?
Yep, just about that. Yeah.
So what was the last 30 minutes like?
The last 30 minutes was about as scary as it could have gotten. Our pool cage has started to kind of deteriorate. What we could see before, we were unable to see for about the last 20 to 30 minutes. The trees have been bent almost in half, and some of the trees are not standing. So it's been a little bit scary for a while.
What about to property? Have you had any?
Just so far, the pool's the screen has started to come in. We've lost a little bit of the aluminum framing on the pool cage. But so far, that's all we can see. We've not been anywhere where we can see major damage yet. But unfortunately, we're not in our own homes. So the unknown is the most scary, not knowing what our own home is looking like at this point.
And generally speaking, where is that, Jesse?
It's exactly 5 miles south of where we are now. So they're definitely in the eye of the storm currently, I would guess. But we live in a wood frame house, and that's a little bit more intimidating to be in. So we came to a little bit of a safer place for a while.
And I'm guessing you're really glad you did. Do you have your family with you?
I do. I actually have my in-laws with me now. My family is also in a little bit further south, but they are also in a very safe home, and we've been in good contact with them. Very thankful to still have some cell service.
I know that. Jesse Lefkow, who's with us live from Naples. They rode out the storm in a safer place than her wooden home, and we're glad you did. Thanks so much for talking to us. We hope your evening is better than your late afternoon was. For you, those of you in Fort Myers and up the coast in the Tampa-St. Pete area, the storm is on the way. Has it weakened? It has. It's still a Category 2 hurricane. Maximum sustained winds 110 miles an hour, capable of producing tornadoes and lightning and heavy downpours, and far from resolved. This storm will weaken in the days ahead. We'll head in the general direction of Alabama and then head, generally speaking, according to the National Hurricane Center, toward Memphis, where it'll be a low-pressure center about time tomorrow afternoon, but more to endure tonight. We'll watch as it heads into Fort Myers and go live to our correspondents as Fox News Channel coverage continues right after this.
I'll have the langoustine lobster ravioli.
For you, sir?
The original call was for langoustine ravioli. Langoustine is a tiny kind of lobster. Slight shellfish allergy rules that out. Plus, my wife ordered the langoustine. I will have chicken tenders and tater tots.
If you're a ref, you way over-explain things. It's what you do. If you want to save 15% or more on car insurance, you switch to Geico.
Sir, we don't have tater tots.
It's what you do.
I will have nachos.
That's right. Keep rocking. The SiriusXM free listening event might be over, but you can turn us back on with packages starting at $6.99 a month plus fees. Just visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM to keep hearing all the things that make you love taking a long way home. So visit SiriusXM.com/GetSXM or call 1-844-479-6669 to turn us back on and up.
Hello. Let's go for a ride on a Peloton. Let's go grab a couple thousand friends and chase each other up a hill. Let's go make a personal best, then beat it with your personal better than best. Let's go bring the world's best instructors right to you. Better yet, let's go bring the entire New York studio live. Let's go anytime, anywhere, with anyone who's willing. And let's go do it all right here. Ready to go? Peloton.
Heads in the stand.
Peanut is not a nut.
And a real John Deere is actually real affordable.
You learn something new every day. The surprisingly affordable John Deere E-Series tractors. Now you can own America's tractor for just $99 a month. Learn more at your John Deere dealer.
This new Beneful grain-free is so healthy. Got farm-raised chicken. That's some really good chicken. I don't think I've ever tasted chicken like this. But here come the accents. Blueberries and pumpkin. Wow, that was my favorite bite so far. I'm not even kidding. I mean, that was spinach. That's like 3 superfoods. It's pretty, well, super. Now I got kind of a pumpkin chicken thing going. Whoop, time to wrestle.
New Beneful grain-free. Out with the grain, in with the farm-raised chicken. Healthful, flavorful, Beneful. With the farm-raised chicken. Healthful, Beneful.
Irma's devastating path. As the storm wreaks havoc and rages on, we're live all day and all night. Stay with the Fox News Channel for continuing coverage.
Thank you guys for both coming in. It's such short notice.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's our pleasure.
So we had art today. Caitlin drew this.
Oh,
Wow, this is great. I love the little sticky things.
Oh, no, I put those there just to cover the...
Oh, wow, that's
Whoa.
some rough language there.
Some of the combinations are...
Really? We don't talk like this at home.
It's called Daddy and DirecTV.
I would never say any of these words out loud. I wouldn't. I mean, I think it, but it's an artistic expression.
Good to know.
Even though DirecTV now says they're $10 a month, it's not. And so it's 10 times more than they say. And there's no NFL network, and there's still
I
no...
just can't have this on the wall.
No,
obviously.
Of course not. It's artistically, though, very good.
Sure.
Misleading offers are evil.
I love that sweater.
Spectrum doesn't have them. DirecTV bad. Spectrum good.
Live in Orlando, I'm Bill Hemmers. Our coverage continues here on the Fox News Channel, tracking the path of Hurricane Irma. As we watch the eye move its way through Naples, Florida, the storm only moments ago was downgraded to a Category 2. Winds now dropping off a little bit, but the speed of the storm is moving around 8 miles an hour. Now it has increased substantially at 14 miles an hour. This monster of a storm will continue to move through the northern part of Florida and affect places like Sarasota and St. Petersburg and Tampa. Eventually here in Orlando, where the skies have darkened over the past hour alone, and the bands of rain start to work their way into the metropolitan area here in Orange County. As we await on that, John Mixon is on the phone, retired Lieutenant Commander of the U.S. Coast Guard. He's live in Jacksonville, Florida by telephone, sir. You had evacuated from Tampa. You worked your way into Jacksonville. And what are you doing now, sir?
Hey, good afternoon. Yep, I live in a small coastal town, Hernando Beach, just north of Tampa. And my family and I were in a mandatory evacuation zone. So we put the final touches on the house early this morning.
Yeah. You know, that's your life's work. You think you made the right call to leave?
Oh, absolutely. There was no debate this time. Some evacuations can be debatable for personal reasons, but in this case, it was safety of life. There was no option due to the potential storm surge.
You think about the people who left Miami and they went to Naples, and they left Naples and went to Tampa, or they left Miami and went to Orlando, and then they were chased off to Tampa as well. And you wonder about making that decision. How difficult was that for you and your family, sir?
It was incredibly difficult up to a point, and then the decision became very easy. Initially, with the data so far out, we had to make the decision on a personal level as to whether to stay or go based on what our house could handle and what we could handle, what we were prepared for. It's definitely an emotional decision. But
yeah, just
at some point,
help us understand, what was it that convinced you now's the time to leave?
I made my final decision with my family and I yesterday morning early. We got the final update. Saw that the westerly track was coming up. Saw the storm surge prediction, and that was the final one. I had my personal limits we've been through for mine last year, so we knew what our neighborhood was getting into. And as soon as we got the predictions that more than that was headed to us, we started putting on the last boards and getting out.
How do you think the state's done so far?
It's fantastic. It's a great response. We had plenty of lead time in this one. Some of the other hurricanes, time. And I think the state, federal government, United States Coast Guard have all done an outstanding job preparing. And I think they're really postured for an outstanding response. The stuff it's going to be.
Good luck to you, sir, and thank you for your time. My best to you and your family.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yeah.
John Mixon, retired U.S. Coast Guard. They're awaiting this storm out in Jacksonville, Florida, where the impact of the storm will be felt very soon. Griff Jenkins, meanwhile, standing by live in Naples, Florida. We've been watching this now for about 2 hours. The eye of the storm came on shore in Naples, I want to say around 3:30 local time. So you've been in it, Griff, for about 2 hours, and conditions now are what?
You know, Bill, we had about 30 minutes ago the harshest winds we've seen, and now the winds have calmed down much. I'm not sure if we have a bit of a eye center over the top miles east of the in Naples because it slowed down, and we're finally getting to see for the first time in a couple of hours, because our vision was barely at about 50 feet, if even that. We couldn't even see across the pond where we're sheltered in place looking out and going out into. We can see the damage. And literally, I can tell you, within the 300 or 400 yard radius of where we are, there isn't a spot where there aren't trees snapped in half and terracotta shingles. Those red sort of clay shingles you see all over the houses in Florida just shattered as if it were little pieces of plastic. But these are 5 to 8 pound shingles been flying off of these roofs. You know, the other problem, of course, is the flooding, not from that storm surge, which is going to be the big legacy along that coastline. The first part of it was dealt here. The wind damage has been catastrophic. It's just smashed everything in this area that we see. And, of course, the flooding and, like, the lakes rising. We have at least, I would say, a foot in just the lake around us, that from rainfall. And having spent all that time just a week or so ago in Houston and Hurricane Harvey, certainly nothing of those levels. But, of course, we're seeing water on the roads around me.
Yeah, Griff, you're describing a windstorm there more than a rainstorm. I saw your about an hour ago rolling down the street. Does that description, based on what you've seen, fit? More wind than water so far?
Absolutely. More wind, a wind event, more wind than water. However, in the earliest part, as we began our coverage, we were on the beach. We were down there a block from where that storm surge was. And certainly the wind event that you saw me taking and driving down those roads was on the coast, pushing that water out to sea and then bringing it right back as the eye came across. So really, until anyone has eyes, we're just not going to know what that was. But assuming the officials had it correct at 10 to even 15 feet on this area, it would have been, looking back to my earlier live shots when I was on the beach, twice my height and then some coming in to all of those buildings and going a few blocks into homes.
Griff, thanks. Griff Jenkins there by phone there in Naples, Florida. I'm going to drop into WTVG in their coverage. Let's pick that up now.
Is where there will be the strongest winds, because this is the eye wall, and just take my finger, we'll go right along eastern Polk, eastern of Hillsborough, Plant City, Sun City Center, Fort Meade. This is where you could have those gusts about 100 to 110 easily as what's left of the eye wall. Then eventually Brooksville and Inverness will get some of this. But the news is good, a lot better now than it was a day ago when we were talking about potential 3 or 4 impacts. Now it's mostly 1 and maybe some occasional 2s. Is manageable. You can get 2, 3 or 4, you start having some problems. I mean, if you're in Naples, 142-mile-an-hour winds outside of your house, that would not be good. We'll take a look at the damage down there, and I'm sure it was pretty extensive. Let's go over to Tyler talking about, I guess, storm surge?
Yeah, definitely, Paul. Thanks. We've been talking a lot about Naples here over the last hour.
Okay, WTVT in their coverage now. Looking at their radar, the bands of rain, they're going to rip up through the center part of the state. This is going to be with us as the night drops here around 7:30. Sunset time here in Central Florida. Around midnight, we'll feel a bit more. And we do not believe we're going to be in the clear here in Orlando or even Tampa. About 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and we'll see what's left after that. After being in Tampa most of the day yesterday and last night, a mandatory evacuation went in place there 3 days ago. And I can tell you last night that town was, it wasn't a ghost town, but it was pretty empty. And those people really listened to the warnings that came their way. Tampa, as we said earlier, and again yesterday, hasn't been taken a direct hit by a hurricane in almost 100 years. And it looks like clearly this will not be a direct hit either. As Irma drops down to a Category 2, still dangerous, still a lot of winds, still a lot of concern about the rain that comes after that and the storm surge. You have to see what the after effect of that is. However, I will say, given the number of reporters that have spread out through the state of Florida, just getting bits of information here and there, we have not yet found the one place where you could say, well, this was the epicenter of this storm, or this is where Irma did the most damage. Perhaps it's in the clear and we get a chance to see A1A looks like. You know, that road that connects the Florida Keys all the way down to Key West. We have yet to see really, you know, daylight images of what is left behind. The other big issue there was Marco Island when it came ashore a second time, this time at a Category 3, but still a powerful storm pushing all that ocean water up and onto the shoreline. It's anybody's guess right now how those houses withstood the storm that we just witnessed here and continue to watch through the night. I will say in Marco Island, they have done a lot of new construction there on homes that are fortified. They are built in a way to withstand strong hurricanes. Whether or not this was strong enough this time, we'll wait and see as soon as we get more reports from out there. We are in Orlando. We're awaiting the arrival of this hurricane. We're going to feel it probably in about 90 minutes from now based on the latest forecast, and we'll see what we get until then. I'm Bill Hemmer live here in Orlando. I want to get back to my colleague Shepard Smith in New York City.
Bill, I want to go up the coast now. If you were to go up the coast from where all of this is happening, so, frankly, some very sobering reports from our own Griff Jenkins there in the Naples area with reports of widespread damage and trees down. There'll be a lot of cleanup to do. We don't yet know what the Florida Keys look like. We hope those middle and lower keys have taken the punch and have withstood it. We'll know soon enough. If you go up the coast to St. Petersburg, off onto the Barrier Islands is a place called Madeira Beach, just north of Treasure Island, north of Reddington Beach, Madeira right in the middle at St. John's Pass Village and Boardwalk. And that's where Jeff Flock is from the Fox Business Network.
And they're going to weather this, and as you say how they progress, and as you can see conditions deteriorating, they're going to weather this on their fishing boat. Jeff and Joe are the captains of this boat. Why on a fishing boat?
That's what we do. We fish. This is a Florida Fisherman too, and
if you leave this alone, you're concerned something's going to happen.
Yeah, we want to save the boat. The boat's a strong vessel. It's a well durable boat. We got it tied off. We're out here to man it, make sure it makes the storm.
Hey, I want to show Shepard, if I can, look at what this water level is like. Because of the rotation of the storm, this has sucked the water out into the Gulf, which is great. But when that storm comes around, Joe, you're going to get this water back in here.
Yes, absolutely.
And what happens then?
At that point, we're going to have to make the decision if we're going to keep the boat right here in the slip or if we're going to pull it out of the slip and head east of this slip.
And pull it out in the middle of the hurricane's what you're telling me.
At the back end of it, hopefully the winds calm down substantially and we're able to get the boat out and protected by land.
The name of the boat again is?
It's a Florida Fisherman 2.
And I already asked Shep, the Florida Fisherman 1 is not at the bottom of the sea somewhere. It has been retired, so we feel a little bit better about that. But not the place I'd choose to weather it out, but each their own.
Jeff, unless the storm makes a turn, we think that the storm is going to move inland of you. We think that the eye of this storm is going to pass over something like Lakeland and Lake Wales, which is due east of Tampa and St. Petersburg, which would put you guys on the dry side of the storm.
But then you get that spin on the back end of it
Exactly.
with that water pushing on the back end of it, right? So and it's unknown what that's going to mean. Do we have any sense of what that's going to mean?
From my perspective, I think what it means is this eye will have been over the land for long enough to where it will have lost some of its punch.
I got you.
That is not to say it's not dangerous for people there. Hey, we will see. Jeff Flock, who's been moving up and down the coast for us all afternoon. It's hard to imagine that when I started coverage this morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time, Miami was already getting battered. The water was coming inland. The winds were really high. Here it is, 5:30 in the afternoon, and that's still the case. Our Phil Keating is somewhere around the 79th Street Causeway in Miami, where he's been braving the storm throughout the day. Phil, how's it looking there now?
Well, the rain has really decreased. That's a good thing. The winds are still strong, but nothing like it was a couple of hours ago. You're going to come this way. Two guys pushing the little... this way. Two guys... Mini Cooper unwisely tried to drive through the floodwaters that still remain, but the flooded street, the 79th Street Causeway, major east-west artery between the city as well as out to the beaches, that's the neighborhood right there. Definitely a lot better. Waters are down, the level of the water flooding the streets down, but a lot of these cars that you see right here behind me all lined up here in the median, the highest point of the street. Clearly, they left their neighborhoods from both sides, realizing, well, parked. Look at all the debris. There's a black shoe. Got a black sneaker over here. I mean, the whole street's riddled with debris. Rooftops are ripped. Somebody's black shoe right there. So this is not the only street like this. Many, many streets throughout Miami-Dade County are this way. That's why the 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. curfew again tonight. Also, traffic signals are no power, not operating, so it's very dangerous, especially once the sun sets. That's why there's a mandatory curfew. Nobody needs to be on the streets. Now that actually we seem to be hours of pounding rains, we've actually seen an increase in traffic coming out here just to start looking around as everyone does after a hurricane passes through, get that cabin fever and go out and let's see what the damage is. And up and down the street, there's certainly plenty. Flooded streets down in Brickell. More stranded cars down there. Brickell, downtown, hot happening, hip neighborhood. A lot of new condo towers down there, a lot of young people moving down there. That was one of the first neighborhoods that was ordered to mandatory evacuate. A lot of people did evacuate, I've got to say, out of the city. Evacuate. A lot of did evacuate, I've got to say, out of the city of Miami, out of the county, and especially Miami Beach. Not everybody did, because not everybody always does. As of yesterday, they thought they made the right choice as the eye of the storm had shifted from the East Coast to the West Coast. But as we saw today, punishing upper tropical storm strength, lower Category 1 hurricane strength winds and rains just beat down this area all day long, Shep.
Phil Keating on the right there on the 79th Street Causeway in Miami, where the cars are out and the lights are on. Some rain totals have started to come in for us. Scenes across the region. Hollywood, Florida, which is Dade, Broward line. Hollywood, Fort Lauderdale International Airport is in that area. At Hollywood, Florida, 4.68 inches of rain. Jupiter, also on the East Coast and a little farther north, 7.73 inches of rain. Fort Lauderdale's Executive Airport, 8.8 inches. The National Deer Key, which is down in the lower Keys, very near where just to the east, I guess, of where the eye went across, 11.5 inches of rain. In Naples, officially, close to 12 inches of rain. In Melbourne, Florida, on the East Coast, 14.5 inches of rain. And now a live drive along the streets of Miami. Was dealt you?
First off, I'm a captain, not the chief.
Oh, apologies.
That's okay. I just want to make sure I'm not taking undue credit. Thanks for talking to me. We're currently experiencing the back eye, the back eye wall, the storm on the backside, and we're seeing significant damage. I'm looking out the window of the station, and there are at least a feet or two of water over the roadway. We can look around. I'm on the second floor of the police station, and I can see multiple roofs that have damage. It is pretty significant. Pretty significant.
What about your high rises? Are windows out, or did they hold?
We don't have we haven't been able to go out and do a reconnaissance for information on that. Obviously, we're very concerned about the physical safety of our residents. So currently, our primary